If your site is using an FSC 3000 and you're new to DXFleet and you'd like to add a bunch of cards to DXFleet, rather than doing those through the card driver vehicle record view, one by one, you could do it through the card import template. The way that the template works is it will download an Excel template based on your site configuration, and then you will be able to fill in multiple cards in that template and then come back here to DXFleet to upload them and then to sync them to DXFleet. In essence, bypassing the tedious process of creating all of your cards one by one. So to do that, there are some requirements that need to be met. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go ahead in DXFleet and create your cards, your accounts, and make sure that your tech has configured your products and your product restrictions and any sort of other additional information like fuel tones and tank, so that those can be selected from the dropdown in the template. So once those are configured, then you will come over here to the download option. If you don't know how to create cards and accounts, we already have, or don't know how to create accounts or set the product restrictions, we'll have other options in this training for those. So just reference those trainings on how to do that stuff. Here, we're going to go ahead and hit download. It's going to take the information from our organization that we already have configured, and it's going to create an Excel template. So here, we're going to have a card import template that gets created. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. All right, I'm going to slide this over so you can see it. And then here we have our predefined fields that are required for the card. Now, these fields are going to be based on your site and what options you have turned on. So if you don't see all the options here, they're not going to be configured in your system configuration page. So you'll want to go to the system configuration page and you want to make sure that the options are turned on that you need for your site. So here I have everything turned on. For example, the first in here is account configured controls. Do we want account configured controls? Yes or no? This means that the card is going to be managed by the account that it's in and the controls that are configured for the account. So in this case, we're going to say, no, we don't want to use that. Account selection here, since we've already created the accounts and they're in DXFleet, it's going to populate them in this template. So now we have all these accounts that we can select from. So I'm going to create a card for the Equipment 1000 account, record type, driver or vehicle. If you're using single entry system, you'll have still a driver or vehicle selection, but that'll change based on how that site is configured. So you may only see driver, you may only see vehicle, or you may need to go to this other option over here that says card operates as a single entry. So just keep that in mind that you'll need to know how your cards need to be set up to fill this out correctly. So record type, we're going to select this one as a driver card. Driver vehicle ID is going to be the ID that shows up on the retort or the export. So I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to give it a name, test driver. FSC presented media is the number that gets entered at the time of fuel. Now, that might be read from a card reader. That might be entered on a keyboard. It might be, a proc card. It might be a chip key. It might be various formats. It's just important that we put in the correct number that's being read in that reader here. So if I'm going to do a keyboard entry of 1, 2, 3, 4, then I could just put in 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm going to do a master card that is 16 digits, then you'll put in whatever number that card programmed on it that's going to be read at the time of fuel. These numbers will go into more detail on the card creation process. So check out the card menu and the different options and what they do on the other tutorial. But here, just note that the driver and the vehicle ID, this is alphanumeric, and this has to be the number of the big red card. All right, let's go right with too far. Okay, we've got card status valid. Short name, this is going to be 9 characters or less. And you can't use symbols and things for the short name. So no apostrophes and things. Just go ahead and I'm just going to use test again. User-defined 1 and 2 fields we go over in the card options, but those are just additional informational fields. So you could just ignore them. They're not required. Is this a single card entry? No. So we're going to say no. That just means that this is a driver card and will also require a vehicle card. Again, we go over that in detail in other. Does this have an expiration date? No, it does not. So we don't need to configure an expiration date. If we had an expiration date, then we could come over here and put in whatever date, and it shows us what format it needs to be in. So we're going to hit nope. Is there an additional PIN number that's required? In this case, I don't have a PIN that I need required, so I'm going to leave it blank. But if you have PIN configured, then you could figure that. Daily allocation, monthly allocation, I'm not going to use it turned on right now. So for example, we're just going to do 100 and then we'll do 1,000 or so for so this is going to restrict 100 daily and 1,000 month. Product restrictions. These codes need to be configured ahead of time before you download the template, or this will be wrong. Also, if you get a template from your distributor or somebody that's helping you set this up, it needs to be from your organization. So all of these codes actually match your site and how it's configured in DXFleet. So that's an important step. You can't take a generic template, import it for your organization because it won't the accounts and they won't have products in the quantity restriction setup thing. Okay, so these restrictions are configured in DXFleet. So you kind of need to know what product restriction code 1 is, code 2 is, and various restrictions. So we're going to select code 1. Which I believe is unleaded only at this site. Quantity restriction, we're going to select 100 gallons. This is for reasonability. Are we using raceability? I'm going to say no restriction. The current odometer, let's do 5,100 or 51,000 miles. Do we want this to fuel all sites? Yes, we do. If we don't want it to fuel at all sites, then we would need to select a fuel zone here, which would also need to be configured at the time. And there'd be a drop down for what zone that is going to go to. And then that would restrict the card to only go to a certain zone. Allow miscellaneous entry. You don't need a miscellaneous entry, but here you would say yes if you wanted that. Allow odometer prompting. Let's say yes, we want a prompt for an odometer. And then prompt sequence. So we have prompts turned on. If we had a certain prompt, if we wanted verified prompts, then we could put all those verified here and we could tell it what order we want everything. So I don't necessarily need that. So I am going to leave that blank for this one. But if you needed to fill that out, you would fill that out here. Once everything is filled out, you will save your template. Then you will come back over to DXFleet. You will go to card import under cards. You will choose your file, just select it from your computer and hit upload. When you upload it, it'll take a few seconds or maybe a couple minutes, depending on how many cards you have. And then if you hit this refresh button here, it will show you the file that you just uploaded. Okay, so in this case, we uploaded some files a few days ago. And this is the Excel file. So if you need to download it again, you can download it here. This may not store forever, so just keep that in mind. So you may want to archive your uploads if you need to make any changes later. Now, once it processes, that means it basically uploads your stuff to DXFleet. Then you will get a card import summary. And you'll want to hit refresh until you see that summary come up on the page. The summary is important, and it's important that you check it, because if you don't get a summary after waiting some time, right, it might take some time to add. But if you don't get a summary, it means it didn't run. And if you do get a summary, you want to make sure that you check it, because it'll tell you if your cards failed to actually create correctly or not. So we're going to open one. I'll just show you what it'll look like. So here we've got, this card number was created with this media number. And it's saying it was successful, which is great. That means it worked. We've created this card. It was successful. If it failed, it would give you a description of a failure. Let me see if I can open one that fails. Let's see. Let's go. Let's do, I don't know if any of these are going to fail, but all right, here we go. Okay, so this one, it didn't need to do anything because this was already pressed. We've already created this card. It was just added a second time in the template. Now, when you do that, it will update. So instead of saying that it failed, it says, I updated this record. I updated the record of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put whatever was in the template that we just uploaded. So if you need to make changes to your cards, you can do it through the card template. Just keep in mind, it's going to overwrite what was there before. So if, for example, you created a card, same number, but it did a different account, well, now it's going to try to create that card and it's going to try to create it in the wrong account. So just keep in mind, you don't want to do anything that's going to potentially change when you do the card import template. But if you're starting from scratch and this is your first card, there's very little risk that you're going to do it wrong. You could just load the template again to correct it. Now here, for example, we have a situation where somebody had a number in the field, but they also had a character that was not a numeric number. So in this case, somebody had a dash or an apostrophe or something in a field that it shouldn't be. And because of that, he rejected it. And so here it's telling us, hey, you're using a bad character. You're using something that's only allowing numeric, and it doesn't meet what we're expecting. So here it'll let you know, something similar to what the problem was. And then you could go look at your template again and look at the median number that failed and try to fix that. And then once you fix it, you just pop back over to DXFleet, you choose the file again, you re-upload it after you saved your changes that you need, and then you wait for another report. And then hopefully the second time around, it'll be right, you'll get it right. And although it may take time for the whole thing to run and process, once you hit upload, you should start seeing cards populate here. So this number will slowly start increasing. If you have 0 cards, then you'll go 1 card, 2 card, and so on and so forth. And you should see, if you're not seeing any movement on this page, on the driver vehicle record page, most likely it's not doing anything, or there's some sort of problem. It didn't upload correctly. There's a restriction issue, or there's a formatting issue or something along those lines. I always recommend that when you do a card template, you do small batches at first until you kind of get familiar with the process. So that way you don't have to wait an extended period of time to know if it failed. So if I create the template and I only added 2 cards, it's going to process that right away and I'll see if it worked. And then once I know the entries that I put in the template work, then I can go and add the other 1,000 cards or whatever we're going to do. I like, as you see here, I did a whole bunch of them. I like to do them in 500 at a time. That way, if something does screw up, I still can easily change it and it's not going to take forever. I think it takes about 5 minutes to process 500 cards. So you just kind of have to wait a little bit. It might be quicker than that. It just kind of depends on how much stuff you're putting in there at the same time. But it's easier to wait for a few minutes and see if it fails than it is to wait a long time for, 10,000 records at once. So I always recommend doing small batches, and then you could verify each one of those import statuses as you go along, just to make sure that you're not running into problems that you self-inflicted because maybe you are using some option wrong. Maybe in your expiration date, you have the wrong form, or maybe you are forgetting a field. It's really easy to just kind of overlook some of this. So maybe I didn't enter an account selection for anything. And it's really easy to do if you're trying to paste from one thing to this template. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that you complete it, for all of the required fields, and do a few at a time just to make sure that you're not running.